and welcome to the Haunted Minds Anthologies from the fucked up minds of the scrapbook universe. We're here to give you a full month of scary, spooky shit to keep your butthole tight. Stay with us, and we are gonna try to terrify you.
Welcome to the Haunted Minds Anthologies. This is your host, Jody Pratt, with my fellow host, Patrick Wigfall.
Yo.
And now we begin on a dark summer night. All right, okay. I have one. It's gonna be the first episode of the season, right? And it just opened up on name a state.
Missouri.
Go more western.
Washington.
Washington, perfect. Washington, an old folks' home. The overnight caregiver opens the fucking doors and they see a set of parakeets sitting there. And they're tweeting around, tweedledee, and shit like that. And they put them inside. They're like, "Oh, thanks for the gift." And there's no note on it. So they just intake it. You know what I mean? There's like, it must have been some, random person. These old niggas need lives, need a jolt of life. Any chance we can turn. So, fuck it. So she puts them in there, leaves a note for the supervisor coming in. These were left, blah, blah, blah. Explains it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the supervisor then puts it into the main room where all the older people are at.
Okay.
Leaves it there, going to come back with some water because he didn't have any water in there. He's just like looking up, how do you take care of parakeets? You know what I mean? Comes back and the door's open to the parakeet. And then he gets a phone call, so he takes it. The distraction is he leaves that. She's like, what the fuck? And he goes to look for it right quick and then designates the job to somebody else, somebody new, right? And at this time, it's breakfast. All the old people are shuffling down.
How many people work here?
I want to say it's a single floor old folks home. I want to say maybe 15
time period
people, 20, 90s, early 2000s.
Okay, so you're talking about like a low level place.
Well, it could be high level. These motherfuckers,
that make even more sense.
Yeah. And free time, breakfast, they're shuffling to the cafeteria and shit like that. And these birds are not seen whatsoever. And people are slowly like looking for these motherfuckers and delegating it to the lowest nigga. And the next thing you know, the janitor has to look for the nigga.
Mm-hmm.
At the total end of the line of employees and shit. And then you get a old person scream. So it's not strong, but it's heard. Yeah. I mean, and,
I've had cigarettes. I know what bum malls are. You know what I mean? That's the scream.
And then you see people rush into a room. An alarm goes off, and it's like an old dude, just on his hands and knees, just like crying and shit. And this is Yorkie. Dead as fuck. And they're just like, well, like, what happened? He's just like, I don't know. Like, look, his blood's everywhere. And they're just like, damn, like, I know you have, like, memory issues, nigga. Like, did you, like, step on him by accident? He was like, I'm not fucking, you know what I mean? How aggressive old people get when you...
You know what it is? Because you're insulting their person.
Yeah,
like their entire person. You're like, you're saying that I would do this.
Yeah. You say I would make a mistake, like step on my own dog.
And then drag it throughout the house.
There's blood everywhere, smeared like, you know what I mean, in little flicks.
Like, do you remember beating your grandson? He's just like, what?
That's how you got here, Robert.
Exactly. That was the last straw. That's why your family don't come see you. Sit down. He's just like...
So, then they help him clean him up and shit like that. And he's just like in tears and shit and body bag this nigga away. So this in turn becomes the protagonist, the old guy. So now he's trying to search for whoever did this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then by.
I like old heroes. I like
Yeah,
old
yeah.
niggas. Cause you're like one M&M on the floor ruins his whole day. You know what I mean? But for him to have the drive,
Yeah,
for Corgi,
because
Corgi's the kid of shit.
this gives him a little bit of oomph to go, you know. And let's just say he was like an old, like, fucking baseball coach, softball coach. You know what I mean? So he's a little rough around the edges, but he loves things. You know what I mean? So he's starting to snoop around, and we follow him now around there instead of just So at first we pass on from employee to employee, their point of view throughout the day, and to the janitor. The janitor goes to clean up the dog, and then now we're following the old nigga Robert for the remainder. So he's trying to search for him and search for this murderer that killed his shit.
How old is he?
I want to say old nigga age.
Like 81?
Right.
74?
Okay, shit, sure.
Let's
You know
say
what I mean?
74.
Yeah.
Because you can still move around there like, sit down. You're like, just shut up, bitch. And then they're just like, he's from the 50s. Okay.
Yeah, he pinches us if we don't give him.
Exactly. He still tries to pinch ass, but like a lot of times it's just like hip.
Yeah.
The nigga depth perception is off.
Yeah, he's like, I like a coffee, please. He's just like, it's 12 o'clock at night, Robert. Go to bed. So then we follow him, and he's going through the shit. And then the birds are back in the cage now, right? Mm-hmm. And it's about lunchtime, and he's passing the art room where they were put, and he's like staring at these things, and they go from a frenzy to like, you know, to stopping and staring back at him. Mm-hmm. And he's just like, and as he's like shuffling slowly forward, they're like following this nigga past. And then they are more aware that this nigga's like staring back at him. And as he takes a step closer, they go back into a frenzy. Right? It's kind of like a, oh shit, nigga, yeah, I'm a bird. You feel me? So he goes on and he's searching for clues and shit like that. And he's blaming certain people and trying to cause a ruckus and shit like that. And he was like, talks to his neighbor. He's like, Martha, I know you did it, bitch. Like, you didn't like my dog anyway.
Like, come get him.
Like knocking the applesauce out of her hand, right?
She just like picks up her Chardonnay, like that.
Right? So that caused Robert to get put back into his room, right? And him like blaming people because you gotta, for him, he was like, how I found things out is I make a big fucking ruckus, and the person that's standing the stillest in the room was the person who, you know what I mean?
Gets
like
put onto.
Yeah, exactly. Who's trying to put on the facade or who's lying and shit like that. Mm-hmm. So he gets put back into his room, and now he's searching. Like the blood's cleaned up. He's like, where the fuck can I? And then he sees like little scratches. Little scratches, bro. It's like, you know how you will just write on a piece of paper, a pen, and you just...
Well, I got a billion of those scratches on me right now.
Yeah.
Like this one, little bitch-ass ones that last forever.
Yeah, long ones, you know, that you get from like a cat or some shit like that.
Or the fucking demon witch in your room.
So he automatically thought like a cat. These are like, you know, nicks and scratches and shit. The cat did this shit. So he's like thinking of somebody who has a cat inside their room. And then he like... The orderly that was set in place to watch Robert and make sure he doesn't get back out of his room and shit like that just went on a smoke break. And then Robert like peeks out the door and just shuffles his ass to Edna's room. And it's dark in there. You know what I mean? He opens the door. He's knocking. He's just like... He's looking slowly, squinting hella hard, trying to find his hand.
Because he's old. Because his eyes ain't about that action no more.
Exactly. Trying to find his hand on the wall, and then he flicks up the light. Although it's daytime, the nigga's just like, he'd have to walk either all the way across the room, trip over something to open the blinds, or just flick on the fucking light. That's why he searched for the light. So he turns back on the light. The cat is fucked up dead in the middle of the floor. right?
Mm-hmm.
And all you hear is just like little flutters around, and he's just like, what in the fuck? Like, he's looking up, and as he's looking up, the door opens, and there's Edna, and she screams, and then niggas hit the door. And he was just like, Robert, like, why would you do this shit? He was just like, what? Like, hella confused and shit. He was like, I found it like this. He was like, no, like, you did this shit. Like, there's blood all over your hands. This nigga was trying to pick up the cat. Like, oh, shit, nigga, like, I thought you did this shit the whole time, blah, blah, blah. And as he's looking at the people who are accusing him, which is like 4 or 5 people, like birds fly out of the fucking room. And he's just like, the fucking birds, bro. The birds did that shid. And they're just like,
that flew over the cuckoos now.
The birds are just like, I mean, he's just like, did you see him? He's just like, oh, Robert, those are the last words that we need from an old nigga, because this isn't a hospice facility. This is just a elderly care facility. There's 2 big ass difference between the two, because hospice is when you're going to die any day now. Old folks facility is when your kids don't want to fucking take care of you. Big difference, right? And they're just like, oh, nigga, you're seeing things now? Like, we don't have a memory care unit either, nigga? Like,
I would house my mom in my house.
Yeah, man.
I would, like, especially if I had a good enough amount of money, I would just make her a little spot, give her a garden.
Yeah.
Wi-Fi.
Only if, like, my mom was, like, leaving shit on the stove and...
No, but what you do is you don't give them electricity. You give them you give them basic, like turning on a light.
Yeah.
Flush a toilet. That's plumbing, but also, you know, like, you give them the basic necessities.
The bare necessities.
The simple bare necessities, like cable and your TV and your phone. You know what I mean? That's what it is. And that's what you give them at that age.
Yeah, that's factual.
Can't give them shit that can hurt themselves. Don't give them the car keys, because then you'd be like, how's my kid ran over? And you're like, I was trying to drive him to soccer practice.
My grandma
and
was
he was in
savage.
front of the car.
She was trying to hit her own blood with the car. That's fucking hilarious. Never my kid, though, which I was super proud of.
That's a horrible story with a good ending.
yeah. Never my kid, but the other ones.
Yeah, she definitely.
She was trying to hit.
She leaned into it. You know what I mean? She leaned into it.
Yeah, I'm crazy grandma, huh? Hold this, nigga, with this Escalade.
What it was, she saw Tooth and was like, Tooth's gonna be like. These other niggas are like, oh, jumping out of the way. Tooth's gonna be like, grandma? And then you gotta stop.
So they're like, now they're acting aggressive with Robert and shit like that. He's like, I'm not going crazy. I saw those the birds.
Are they
It's the birds. No, they're well. How about this time they are, because they're like, we have a nice facility. We're gonna call your children and tell them we're gonna transfer you to facilities. And
let's call them 65.
No, older than that.
You want him older?
65 is still, I can own a fucking house and be in the house.
Yeah, but he's in here because his kids don't want to fuck with him.
Uh-huh.
That happens at like 50.
Your mom is 56.
Yeah, but I love my mom. She can take care of herself.
That's the thing. So he's older. Like, it's not, 65 is like, that's way too fucking old. That's at retirement age.
75 then, yeah. You're right. Fuck. All right.
I don't know why you trying to change it, nigga.
I'm just thinking like all this mental action, old niggas at that age are just like, MASH has a new episode? And you're like, no, that's just the next episode.
Yeah. Believe me, bro, I worked with these niggas. Not everybody's a simpleton in that.
And I believe that, but I've never worked with them, so I don't have that, like...
That's why I was cool with 75. You know what I mean? So...
And I forgot that you work at that old people place.
For like, yeah.
And shout out to you, because I definitely wouldn't do that. An old nigga gets at me rough, I'm just gonna like be like, hey, guess what happened? I'm gonna put this water right here.
That's the thing. They only did it to the women. They're like in.
They're like, you can punch me.
They're like squeezing on my. All the niggas are squeezing on my arms the whole time, just like, hey, man.
We're like, well, when I was young,
yeah,
like,
dead ass, bro.
When I was
Yay, young.
Youth. It's a weird transmogrified thing. When you are young, you want to be old, and then it switches to when you're old, you want to be young.
Yeah.
How does that happen? You never just
as
enjoy
they say,
the time.
The youth is wasted on the young.
Yeah, it is.
Age
You
is
flip
wasted
that
on the
bitch
youth.
and you start out Benjamin Button style.
Yeah.
Then get
I'd hate that shit because I'm just like, at like 3 years old.
all of your small falls would be disastrous.
Yeah, and it worked for him. He broke like all his bones.
And back in the day, they had no way to really fix the bones.
Yeah, they just
So
set
you
his
just
legs.
walk around there like, oh yeah, that's Jimmy, and he just walking around like shit, walking around like a crab.
He just set his legs and shit.
I'm sorry.
And so they roughly take him back, like they strong arm him back into his room. He's trying to fight and shit. He's got a little bit of strength to him still, you know what I mean? He's still...
But at 75, those bones are on their
his
way
skin
out.
is real soft.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And since he did athletics, which will change your whole fucking life, just touch your toes every day.
They just do a little something.
So he still has his hips and shit like that, you know. They're just like, you need to sit here and shit like that. And like, you two watch him, the supervisor says. And then one of the guys was just like, bro, I'm about to get off. Like, you got this? He was like, nigga, I'm about to get off too, bro. We came at the same time. You know, like a little tit for tat kind of thing back and forth that they had. And they're just like, well, nigga, I got these pills. He just like, Robert just like, huh? What? What'd you say? I ain't taking no fucking pills, bro. You can't. And then he gets up and he's just like, I can take the both of you Negroes. And like, and he's like putting up.
Shout out to him for not hitting the full the ER. Yeah. Shout out to him because for sure, in the 90s, that word was still prevalent.
Oh yeah, for sure. You know what I mean?
Niggas is too scared to say it
but
now.
Robert
You say that in the Starbucks, a white man might punch you.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like that word is not accepted, and you know, good.
So he stands up to fight these niggas, and they're just like, bro, and just like hold him
Ass out though.
They like jump on this nigga and hold him down and like put pills into his mouth and shit and hold his mouth, and the nigga just like
close his nose so he has to swallow
exactly
it. Yeah, that kind of shit.
And then they're like, all right, bye, Robert, and he's just like, see you tomorrow type of thing. He's like, oh, fuck you.
And then somebody just slaps him right on the top of the mouth.
Shut up, nigga.
Hey, bro, elderly abuse is real as fuck.
And he like,
I don't know why I'm laughing.
He just like furrows his brow hella hard. He's like,
he doesn't want to give them a sound.
Yeah, exactly. That's it.
But he cries himself to sleep.
Yeah, like a
night.
tear drops.
Yeah,
right?
It's the glory.
So they leave and they leave the door open. So we'll take it back to when they are leaving the room, right? Mm-hmm. Your idea of the pin, we'll take that. And he's like, if nobody's going to believe me, I'm going to go myself to find out, you know what I mean, to get these fucking birds or find these birds or some shit like that. Because I know what left the room. You know what I mean?
And he saw them prior leading to this.
Yeah, he saw
like
them.
A flock of them.
He saw them in the cage. You know what I mean? The parakeets in the cage. So, prior to this. So he's just like, this is what did this shit. It would have to be you're the only ones in the room when this dead ass animal's in here. So he takes the pin and he's like shuffling along, getting groggier and groggier as the time goes past. And then his eyes are like, he's taking longer and longer blinks, and he goes into the art room, hitting corners, like peeking around the corner, and just taking like 2-second naps before he like jolts himself back up again. He's moving slower and slower, and he goes into the art room, and he's looking and now at this time it's like the end of the day, right? So everybody's pretty much clear. There's some people going around the halls and shit like that, and he tries to sneak up on right about now the parakeet cage is covered, so he like attacks that shit and tries to smash it and shake it and shit like that, and it was completely empty. He would go and he's looking for the shit, and he hears some tweeting in the fucking air, right? Some fluttering behind him. He turns around and shit, and it's empty. The only light is from the doorway, right? And then he turns around to like see what the fuck was fluttering. He's looking up in the sky, and the door is slowly shutting. And then he's just like fucking ready to snatch some shit out of the fucking sky or whatever the fuck. And it cuts to the supervisor like waving in the ambulance to, we have somebody to escort to a different facility. So they take ambulances every fucking time. So they go and they're walking through the halls and they go into Robert's room and Robert's not there. And then he's on the fucking pager. He's just like, Marcellus, like, are you here? And then some girls just like, oh, Marcellus and David, they left. He's like, what the fuck? And now he's looking through the whole fucking halls. We have a code 3. It's Robert Jenkins. You know what I mean? Go look for this nigga. And they're all searching for him, and then you hear like a scream over the radio. And she's like, the art room. And then the nigga, they're just like, oh, go. Run into the art room and shit like that. And you see just like blood, like spurts of blood everywhere. You know what I mean? And it's this nigga, Robert, holding one parakeet. That's fine. Holding one parakeet, and it's smashed all into his hand and shit, and his jugular has been pecked at and scratched at and shit like that. And the other one has like a pin in it, like laying in the middle of the floor, like directly into his chest. And the nigga's bled out completely. And the end of that episode.
Do we get any outside view of the ending? Past his perception of the ending?
Oh, it's what we open up to when they open the door.
Skipping around to the, because you said it was the nurses or the people that work there. So does it skip back to them, or does it?
So the only time it ever leaves Robert is when it goes back to the supervisor. So during this time, it's all Robert, and until that door closes, and he's like, huh, and then it shoots to the supervisor welcoming in the ambulance, and then it's his point of view the whole entire time until they open the door, and then they see the entire view of what happened, the blood everywhere and shit like that, and smashed parakeets.
Where's he getting the parakeets from?
Huh?
Where's he getting the parakeets from?
Remember at the beginning of the story, the parakeets were the ones that were left at the old folks home?
Oh, to like give them some kind of, okay. Oh, so he's been fucking up. Oh yeah, okay, I remember that. I thought you were talking about the jolt of energy being the people that were like talking with them. That's what I thought.
Animals. So you give old people animals to prolong their life longer, and that's the jolt of energy.
I gotta get out of bed today to let this dog let him pee on my carpet.
Yeah, or even I fucking love taking care of things. You lose a sense of nurturing when you become old.
And purpose, because you're just like, what am I doing? Just run this bitch on repeat?
Yeah.
I have the same coffee. I have the same view. Nobody comes to talk to me. I get 2 texts a month.
Yeah.
I like it. So, does anybody have any clue that he's going through this? Is there any like, is that what the main bitch is about? Is about trying to figure out who's doing this as well, or do they like? Does everybody know it's him, and he's just crazy?
What do you mean everybody knows him?
Like you were saying the whole time that he was blamed for this, and he was like, "I'm not doing this."
Not the whole time, because he was only blamed for the cat.
Oh, okay.
Because his dog was dead. So that's
where I lost it. Okay.
Yeah.
Oof. Okay, I like it.
All right, bet. I'm gonna call that shit Birds.
You can't just steal names of famous movies.
Yeah, Birds. That's what this shit's
I'll call it Parakeet.
Tweet or some shit like that.
Call it Tweety.
Yeah. All right, boom. That shit was the Haunted Minds Anthologies episode 1 from Jody Pratt. with your fellow host, Patrick Wigfall. Don't stop being creative. Peace.